It is Tuesday, and if it's Tuesday, it's a Jason Sukamel appearance day. And we haven't talked recruiting in a long time. But Jason, signing day is actually next week. So, which is crazy enough. It's crazy, Jason. There was always this hype and build up to signing day. And now it's kind of like we talk about playoffs and we worried about conference championship games. And it's kind of like, oh, you mean those guys who may or may not play next year? What about those guys? Well, let's talk about those guys today, Jason.
Well, and it's like you got like I'm covering commitments Sunday night and Monday night, but then like you got the A&M game. That's a big deal, right? So
Yes.
no disrespect to these dudes, but like it's just it's a weird. It's all kind of a blended week, but we'll have some action here the week leading up to signing day next Wednesday. So
yeah. So well, listen. We just had some action recently, Jason. Texas received a commit, running back Jet Walker. He flipped from Minnesota? Am I correct, Jason, to Texas?
Yeah, that's right. He was with West Virginia, then he flipped to Minnesota, and then from Minnesota to Texas, correct.
Okay, so he's basically trying to find the best offer, and Texas ends up being the best offer on that. Don't blame him. Nothing against Minnesota or West Virginia, but if I got a Texas offer, that's the one I'm taking. What's the 411 in this young man?
Well, he's from Georgetown, Texas, so he's right up the road, right up I-35. So the Texas offer just makes a lot of sense. The 411, he's a bigger back. Like, let me see what he's actually listed at on. We're 6'2", 205. Mm-hmm. But for him, it's all about production. I mean, high school career, 5,846 yards, 84 touchdowns, 9 yards per carry. I mean, this dude just put up big numbers. He was at multiple schools, but everywhere he played on a good Georgetown team that went a couple rounds deep into the playoffs this year. But, he's a local kid, grew up in a Texas household, if you will. Mm-hmm. When Texas offered him, it happened pretty quickly. I mean, they offered him about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, I guess. And he quickly set up the Texas official visit. It was pretty obvious which way this one was going to go. And I tell you what, I like the pickup. Excuse me. Like I said, he's a productive player. He's a good runner. He's not a guy that's going to make national headlines. Oh, Texas picked up a big commitment here. But he's a nice compliment to Derek Cooper, the running back Texas has, who is a big national name. And he's also a guy that's not going to give Derek Cooper any cause for pause. You don't want to rock the boat with Derek Cooper this late in the process. Well, that's not going to happen. In fact, Derek Cooper has been very proactive or pro Jet Walker on social media, like thumbs up and like welcome to the family type posts. So I think it's a good pickup. I think, again, not a guy, he's ranked as a 3-star guy by all 3 of the recruiting services, the number 46 overall ranked running back in the country. But he's a big dude. He's going to play hard for you. I like the pickup as a complimentary back to Derek Cooper for the Longhorns.
And this is was this a late offer in the process here, Jason?
Very late. Yeah, they went, they've been evaluating him and some others, but they went and I think the coaches saw him in person and offered him again, maybe I don't have the exact date, I have to look, but maybe like 2 weeks ago or so. And it all went bang, bang pretty quickly.
So usually when something like that happens, Jason, there's usually maybe a guy that they wanted that they found that they weren't going to get. And then they have guys who are, they know this guy, like a local guy will come, whether he's from a Georgetown, a Westlake, or Vandergrift, something to that effect. Was there a person that Texas had missed out on in the running back recruiting, and then they said, okay, let's go ahead and get Jet and pull him in? Or was this just one of those, hey, you know what, late offer kind of things?
Yeah, I don't think it was anybody they missed out on. I mean, there have been a couple guys they've offered that they missed, but that happened months and months ago, going back to the summer or before. So it's not like somebody recently committed elsewhere and they're like, oh gosh, we got to find another spot. It's not a matter of Derek Cooper peeling off his commitment. He seems pretty solid. He was at the game against Arkansas. If anything, Onward, it might be more of a reflection of the guys that are currently on campus and on the roster that are, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Or is it possible that you might lose? Well, they already lost. I mean, Jarrett Gibson is transferring, of course, but there's a possibility you might lose others in that room too. So I think it was more just like, hey, let's go find a second back in this class. Again, a guy that fits all all the criteria you're looking for. He's a good player. He's a guy that doesn't mind the fact that Texas came in late with the offer. He's not going to hold that against Texas. He's not going to rock the boat with Derek Cooper. I mean, this one just makes perfect sense to me. If the coaches thought, and they would know if they thought, hey, we need a second back in this class. I mean, I think Jet Walker makes perfect sense.
So with him kind of in the fold, it's interesting now, Jason, because most of these kids committed in the summer, right? And most of these guys kind of solidified, especially the elite guys, solidified their NIL deals, their NIL packages in the summer. And most of the time, when you got your money, you got your money, right? Hey, as soon as I get to a certain point, this money is going to kick in. Is there much drama left over the next week in 8 days, Jason? Because the whole days of just late flips. I mean, it happens, but I think in the NIL era, I think it's harder now, isn't it, Jason?
Yeah, it is and it isn't. I mean, if you come in, you're like, hey, we need one more at position X, and we've been talking to this guy, and let's go make him a significant financial offer. I'll give you an example. Jamarian Carlton out of Temple. He picked Baylor over Texas back in the summer. It was a little bit surprising, but most people would probably assume that was because Baylor made him a significant NIL offer. Well, he's now been at, I think, the last 2 Texas home games, and he hasn't confirmed it to me if he'll be at the game on Friday night. I'm almost assuming he will be at this point. But if he's a player, Jamarian, let's see, he is number 99 nationally. So he's a little bit higher ranked than some of these guys we're going to talk about and have talked about. Could Texas flip him? Absolutely. Does it take relationships? Yes, it does. And they've done a good job with that. Does it take probably a boost in whatever NIL offer you made him back in the summer? Probably so, especially with Dave Aranda now coming back to Baylor next year. So you can still flip guys with NIL late. You can still win recruitments this late with NIL. But, a guy like Jet Walker, I don't think it was NIL related. I think, Caden Scherr, his teammate, offensive lineman from Georgetown, committed to Texas last night. Same type deal, man. He's from Georgetown. He was committed to Stanford. Texas is right up the road. I mean, obviously academics are important. Stanford offered him, Northwestern was involved. Those dudes kind of just want to be at Texas. Yeah. I don't think it's a big windfall of NIL. Now, the flip side onward, you've got teams trying to poach Texas commitments, and NIL is a factor there. Max Wright, the offensive lineman out of Melissa, he took an official visit to SMU last weekend. And I'm going to talk to Max tonight. So everybody watching this video, keep an eye on Orange Bloods. I hope to talk to Max tonight, and I'll have an update. But he's probably going to decide this week. And I'll circle back to the NIL part here in a minute. But he took his SMU visit last weekend. He was going to come to the Texas game on Friday night and then have a final decision. Well, Melissa won. His team won. So they play Friday afternoon. So I don't see how he's going to make it to the Texas game on Friday night. SMU has made a nice NIL offer, is what I've been told. Texas, what I was told is that Texas kind of had an agreement in place when he committed way back when, but the NIL talk's kind of quieted since then. And Max's agent and people around him are like, hey, we just need to know that this stuff is still good. So he's got a tough decision ahead. And I think the ball's a little bit in Texas's court here. I think Max wants to be at Texas, but if SMU is offering him a better or a more concrete NIL offer, he's probably going to flip likely this week. So, I mean, it's kind of, I saw a report yesterday where he told Sam Spiegelman it's 50-50, but I don't know. I kind of get the vibe. Maybe SMU, unless Texas eases some of his concerns, I think maybe SMU might have a chance to flip him.
Well, I think the hard part, again, this is, like you said, the NIL works 2 ways, Jason. It works for the people who are willing to spend it, and it also works for the people who are not willing to spend it, right? And if Texas has already said, we feel like Max Wright is worth X, and SMU is saying we feel like Max Wright is worth X, and Texas will say, go ahead and go, right? Unless we're talking about an elite 5-star guy, like from the defensive side of the ball, like a Justice Terry from last year, right? Where you say, hey, got to have that guy. it's okay to quote unquote get in a bidding war. But for Max Wright, it just seems like Texas is not willing to get into a bidding war for him. That's what I perceive.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's probably a number that, well, they've discussed numbers previously. I mean, Max has an agent. So I think Max's concern is like, hey, we had talked about this number a long time ago, and now when I'm trying to get confirmation that's still going to happen, I'm not getting the confirmation I'm looking for. But yeah, if SMU comes in with a much bigger number, I mean, Texas isn't going to get in a bidding war. With all due respect to Max Wright. Now, I'll say this. I think Texas would love to keep Max Wright in the class, partly because he plays at a position of need. Texas needs all the offensive linemen they can get. If you're counting Max Wright, they're now at 4 offensive line commitments. You take Max out, that's 3. They did host Bryson Martinez, a LSU commitment, on an official visit over this last weekend during the Arkansas game. So they're still involved there. He's still committed to LSU. I talked to his mom. She said, hey, he's probably not going to sign now in December. He's going to wait till February of next year, that second signing day, so he can see who LSU hires as their head coach, who their offensive line coach is going to be. And I get it. That makes a lot of sense. The only thing that sucks for him, he was going to be a spring enrollee. Now he can't do that. So that kind of sets him back a little bit there. But, Texas still needs bodies, if you will. And I don't want to just label these guys as bodies, but you just need to take strength in numbers. You need guys at offensive line, and then you hope 1 or 2 or 3 of them hit. So if you lose Max Wright, that's a big hit in your numbers. But, maybe they can replace him with someone like Bryson Martinez, depending on, how those scenarios play out.
And I'm sorry, I know you mentioned him earlier, but since we're on the offensive line topic, I'm sorry, dude, I was dealing with a sick kid last night. But Texas did get an offensive lineman to commit yesterday. And I know you mentioned him out of Georgetown, Caden. How do I pronounce his last name?
I just say Scherer. I hope that's right. Scherer. So
Scherer. Okay, yeah, Scherer. We'll call him Caden for now, just to be safe. The Georgetown kid, again, he flips from Stanford. I'm assuming he's just like his teammate, just a guy who's local, wanted to be a Longhorn, finally got the offer at the midnight hour, and it's like, hell yeah, I'm going to take it, right? It's kind of the MO on him. And what's again 411 on him as a player, and what would I need to know?
Yeah, similar type deal. Texas came in really late. It might have been the same day they offered Jet, maybe like a day or 2 later. He actually set up the official visit, and they hadn't even offered him yet. So I was like, okay, well, they're not bringing him in. They're not going to offer. They offered him before the visit. Anytime, Anwar, if a school like Texas comes in and says, hey, we're going to offer you, in like the next day the kid sets up a visit, that's a pretty good sign, right?
Yes, right.
Texas way, but
it's like back when you were dating and you said someone to somebody, like you met him in the afternoon. You're like, want to go out tonight? Sure. You're like, that's probably a good sign.
Exactly. So, I like this pickup as well. Again, not super highly rated. He's a 3-star guy, but he's still kind of new to offensive line. He's a former defensive player. 6'6", 275 is what I'm seeing him listed at. He's the number 85 offensive tackle prospect in the country. So he's not like a super highly rated guy. But you watch his film, and I put it on Orange Bloods last night in the commitment story. I mean, he moves really well. I mean, again, former defensive player, so he's got good feet. He's obviously smart. He was committed to Stanford. He's got a little bit of a nasty streak to him. I mean, he doesn't mind getting dirty and putting guys on the ground. Is he a guy that's going to come in and help right away? Probably not. He's probably a guy that needs a year or 2 in a strength and conditioning program, try to add some weight, get him ready for especially playing in the SEC. But he's got the frame. He's got the athleticism. You can kind of see it. You can see him, taking on guys at the second level, getting downfield. Again, a bit of a nasty streak. Would you rather have that over a guy that's huge, but a guy that lumbers, and we've seen some of that on the Texas roster, and those guys have kind of struggled at times? I don't know. You want a kind of a combination of both. You want a big guy who can move. Well, Caden's 275. He's not like he's 350 or anything, but if you give him a couple years and he can get up to 325, 330, then you've got something there. Everybody's going to say, oh, it's Trevor Gooseby. Well, he's not probably as tall. Well, I guess he probably is 6'6". So, Trevor's the perfect example of that, but Trevor is an incredibly fluid athlete. Caden's probably not quite that athletic. but he is a pretty good athlete. So I think he's got a chance to be something for Texas. I put it this way. I think he's got a high ceiling on Mark, but it might take him a couple years to get to that ceiling. But he's probably also a guy who's going to be patient. He's obviously academics matter to him. He's not a guy 2 years from now, if he's not playing at Texas, he's going to be jumping in the transfer portal. I mean, his education is going to be important. He's probably going to want to stick it out and see how things progress at Texas. So again, I mean, this late in the process, I think what the Texas coaches are doing, they're finding guys, they're trusting their evaluations. Okay. They're finding guys that they think have high upside, but they're also guys who are not going to break the NIL bank. Yeah. And I think both these Georgetown players fit that bill.
Yeah, that's what 100%. Like, you want to be there, and look, at the end of the day, whether it's Minnesota, what did you say, West Virginia, I mean, they're not offering $1 million to a 3-star prospect out of Georgetown, Texas. No disrespect to those guys. And maybe, hey, hope you guys one day become $1 million guys at Texas. That'd be great for everyone else. But that's why I said, Texas has to operate within a salary cap. And, the one thing they do have to do, Jason, after this year, and this is the challenging thing, and this is what I was also told behind the scenes too, was that they've got to re-sign their guys, So you've got the Ryan Wingos, who's, hey, you're going to have to pay him. You've got Arch Manning. You're going to have to pay him. Like, you go down the list, Texas talks about a young team. Think about all those receivers in the room, right? You can just go down the list. Anthony Hill, Colin Simmons. Like, I hate to say re-sign, but you do have to re-sign those guys. So you can't necessarily break the bank in high school recruiting when there's a high priority and a lot of needs. And then and even some of those freshmen who are playing, like the Grayson Littletons, the Kate Phillips, all those guys are going to want pay raises, right? So it's tough right now.
It's so fascinating. Grayson Littleton's a good example because I don't think he was a huge NIL guy coming out of high school. But if Manny Muhammad leaves, boy, you're going to need Grayson Littleton on this roster if you're Texas, right? So then Grayson kind of holds some of the cards there. But then you got other schools who are just throwing a middle finger up to this idea of having the salary caps. And I don't think some schools are going to play by those same rules. I think they're going to be like, tough shit, NCAA, come after us. What are you going to do about it? Because, Texas Tech, they're offering ridiculous amounts of money to guys who are juniors in high school. They haven't even started their senior years yet. So, we're talking 7-figure deals. So how do you do that? Like you said, and then balance roster retention, right? Texas is one of the schools who seems to be abiding by the rules, if you will. Some other schools in the region, not so much. So, I don't know, man. It's this again. We say it every 3 months. Times are changing. This is uncharted territory. So we'll see what happens. But it is a kind of a balancing act. Yeah. Unless you want to just be, just kind of like I said, throw a middle finger up and say, we don't care. What are you going to do about it? We're going to pay whatever we want to pay or need to pay.
Yeah. Damn, can I just convince my son to get out of this soccer thing and let's just do some football? Because unless he's going to play the Premier League, man.
I'm sure I've told you this story. I don't know if I've said it on the air. My daughter is 14. Hopefully she's not listening on the other side of this door. They're home for break. But she does gymnastics, and she's done it since like 3rd grade. She's now in 9th grade. And the money we spend on gymnastics every year just pisses me off. It's kind of like your son. It's a lot of travel and stuff like that, right? I literally said to her, I'm like, I'm not joking, Quinn. Quinn, I will give you $1,000 right now if you quit gymnastics. You won't do it. So.
Us following our kids' passions and not forcing them into things that they don't want to do. Damn it, man.
Like now she's running track for high school. I'm like, okay, I like that because that's a school sport where it's like the school pays. I got to buy her some spikes and maybe donate a case of Gatorade. That's it. But gymnastics and soccer, club soccer, that stuff gets expensive.
Just losing propositions. We're losing money. And I'm like, oh, cool. If all goes well, after I spend $50,000 in club fees over the next 8 years, then you'll get a partial scholarship and I'll have to pay more money. Yay! Anyway, all right, real quick. What do over the next 8 days, who are the guys, Jason, that because I want to talk A&M with you before I let you go. Over the next 8 days, who are the guys that we need to keep an eye on? Who are the guys that our Texas is targeting? And is there anybody that's really moving the needle, or again, are most of the horses in the barn at this point? But what do we need to know? Give us the primer for the next 8 days.
Well, I'll start tomorrow on Wednesday. Great name, by the way, for a linebacker, Rocky Cummings. He's out of California, Carlsbad, California. He came in, another kind of late addition, if you will, to the Texas recruiting radar. He came in for an official visit last weekend. His team actually plays tonight on Tuesday, Carlsbad, California, for a state championship.
Okay.
I guess that's a California thing, playing on Tuesday nights. But he's going to play a game tonight for a state championship. He's committed to Cal. Cal just fired their coach. I mean, let's put it this way. When we're done with this video, I'm going to type up a commitment story on Rocky Cummings and have it ready. So I'm trying to get in touch with his coach, but obviously he's got things going on, just to kind of get more background on him. But he's a big athletic kid. I think he brings some measurables that are desirable, but I don't know a ton about him. I need to watch his film. And again, I haven't been able to get in touch with his coach, but I understand they got other things going on right now. But he's going to play tonight. He's probably going to announce a final decision on Wednesday. If it's not Texas, I'd be shocked. So that's a guy. And then I'd say Texas wants at least one other defensive back in this class. Teray Davis is a player out of Colorado. He's a safety. He's supposed to come in this weekend for his official visit. Last weekend, they had Josiah Vilmail out of the Houston area. He came up and took his official visit. I don't know if they'll take both of those guys, because if they would, Josiah Vilmail would already be on the Texas commitment list. I mean, I talked to Josiah after his visit last weekend, and he was going to call the coaches on Sunday after he got back home. And if that conversation went the way he wanted it to, he probably would have committed Sunday night. There's a little bit of holding pattern there because they do have Teray Davis coming in this weekend. So keep an eye on those two guys. I think probably one, maybe both, but I think probably one of those guys will wind up being in this class. And then Rocky Cummings, I mentioned Jamarian Carlton. Could Texas flip him here at the last minute? People are still holding out hope on a guy like Jalen Lott. That one seems like the ship has sailed, but there's a few things we'll be watching. I mean, these last few days, last week, always get a little wacky. Things start popping up. So we'll keep an eye on those types of guys. We'll keep an eye on Max Wright to see if SMU's a serious threat there. So still some stories we'll be covering over the next week.
All right, let's do a couple more things, Jason, I want to throw at you because I like to just off recruiting. I just want to kind of get your general thoughts on it. The game on Friday. I mean, that's only a couple of days away. We got Thanksgiving on Thursday. We got this game on Friday. What's your read on this, Jason? I know it's early in the week, but damn it, we don't have we have an early week. So I mean, I probably need to get you my prediction today, if I'm being quite honest with you. So what are you thinking, Jason, as we go into this?
Yeah, I'm going to work on my matchups this afternoon. What am I thinking? I don't know. I'm kind of torn because I think if they played this game 10 times, 5 in Austin, 5 in College Station, A&M wins 6, maybe 7 of them. But I can't get out of my head that Texas is a much different team at home than they are on the road. This Texas offense is playing really well. Arch is playing really well. I get it. Arkansas didn't challenge him a ton. A&M will challenge him more. But then this offense is making strides, but this defense is taking steps backwards, right? And I don't know that it's a great matchup with A&M and what A&M does well offensively. They can move the ball and they can throw the ball around. They got great receivers, can make plays after the catch. We've seen Texas have some busted coverage in the secondary lately. You can't do that against A&M because those guys can go 90 yards if you do that. I don't love the matchup. I'm kind of favoring I think A&M's 2.5 point favorite. Is that right?
I believe you're correct. I got to look it up, but I think that's correct though.
Yeah, I think that's what it opened at. So
let me look up as you're talking.
That feels about right. I mean, I feel like A&M should be a slight favorite in this game, but again, I mean, I feel like it's going to be a game that probably comes down to the fourth quarter. But right now, Texas beat Arkansas last week. But I also can't forget that 2 weeks ago, they lost by 25 to Georgia.
Yeah.
Where you and I've been burned by giving this team the benefit of the doubt.
Every week, every time. Not once.
My logical part of my brain tells me don't give them the benefit of the doubt this week and pick A&M. But then I'm like, okay, they're at home. Their backs are against the wall, blah, 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 blah. So I'm leaning A&M ever so slightly, but I want to kind of break down my matchups. People are asking about, is Ant Hill going to play? We don't know. We think he is. But I need to kind of dig around on some of these other things before I make a final pick. But I'm kind of leaning A&M right now.
Yeah, I mean, my logic says A&M, and then I just go illogical, and I'm just saying, well, this is the perfect game for me to pick against Texas, and then they end up winning because every time I applied my logic to games, and I said, well, of course they're going to beat Florida. Florida's horrible, right? And then that happened, and then I'm like, well, they're going to lose against Oklahoma after this Florida loss. Then that happened, and then they have the kind of tough stretches with Mississippi State and Kentucky, and I'm like, well, they ain't going to beat Vanderbilt playing like that. Then that happens, right? So I'm wrong. Like I've never, and of course I did predict Georgia to beat Texas, but I wrote that incorrectly. So and then so I just
I'm saying the same things about Texas this week that I said against Georgia. Their backs are against the wall, and like we haven't seen the best Texas yet. And I'm like, all right, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So do I give Texas the benefit of the doubt this week? I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not quite there yet. We got a couple days to make those predictions.
All right, two more things. Let's play a big if game, okay? If Texas beats A&M, do they belong in the college football playoffs?
I kind of need to see what happens to some of these teams around them. But right now, this is going to piss off the viewers, but I'm saying probably not. I think Texas
is wow.
I mean, first off, beating A&M would be an accomplishment, but do we really know how good A&M is? I mean, yeah, they got that Notre Dame win way back when. The committee is punishing Texas. Obviously, losing to Georgia is bad. I mean, not bad, but you lost in a bad way, 25 points. Mm-hmm. You have a horrible loss to Florida. You have bad wins on the ledger, if there's such a thing, against Kentucky and Mississippi State. And these are all fairly recently. We're not talking, week 2 of the season. So, honestly, like I get it why some of these other teams are ranked ahead of Texas.
Yeah.
You got to look at I did my rankings, the SEC rankings. Everybody's like, how can you have Oklahoma ranked above Texas? I'm like, the same week that everybody's like, Texas beat them head to head. I'm like, okay, I get it. That was a while back, by the way. But since then, Texas hasn't played particularly well every week. In the same week, Texas got thumped by 25 at Georgia. Oklahoma beat Alabama, and Oklahoma's beat Tennessee, and they beat Missouri last week. I mean, Oklahoma's playing better football against better opponents than Texas has over the last month. So I get it why Texas is below some other teams in the committee's eyes. So I'd need to see what happens with some of these other teams around them, but I don't think if Texas beats A&M, I don't think they're getting in. But that's why I don't make the big bucks, and I'm not on the voting committee. So
what's going to be fascinating, Jason, is that when the playoff rankings come out tonight, there was 2 teams ahead of Texas that lost, and so you got to expect that Texas is going to jump up just a little bit in those rankings. They may be sitting at 14, Jason. Now, look. The key number is they got to get to 10, right? Because 11 and 12 don't mean anything. That you can't. That one is going to be the group of 5. The other one's going to be the ACC team, right? So outside of that, you got to find a way to get to 10. And I don't going from 14 to 11, or hell, I can't even get to 11. We still got to get a group of 5 in. So that's the part I don't know, but it'll be interesting, Jason. Okay, the very last one. There's only one group of people in sports that annoy me the most.
Only one? Oh, okay.
The most. It's the hypocrisy of coaches. It just is the hypocrisy of it. And I look at Lane Kiffin, right? This is where I'm going with this. And all these coaches always say things like, we don't need distractions. The damn transfer portal is a distraction, and the transfer portal's this, and guys need to be focusing on the season and don't need to be looking at other things, and they need to be zeroed in. And here you have a guy who's telling everybody, I'll decide my fate after the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State, when they might be a playoff team, Jason. Like, is this not what I know? There's a lot of hypocrisy. And I know sometimes I get on my old man, get off my lawn rant. But the Lane Kiffin thing really sounds like a bunch of BS to me. It sounds super hypocritical from a group of people who always tell people to stay focused and zoned in. And he's like, well, my family's visiting LSU. Like, in the season? How is this?
I don't know how I feel about that. And like, if he does leave and announces it after their game, does he then coach the team in the playoffs, or does Ole Miss be like, no, get the hell out, pack your bags, we'll take our chances with an interim coach? Because the new school's going to want him recruiting for them, right? I don't know, man. I mean, I don't begrudge the guy if he's got an offer to make $12 million or something from a school, if he wants to take that job. Just the timing of it just sucks. But like, how do you get around that right now? I mean, all these schools doing like mid-season firings and stuff. Like, how do you avoid? It's just the timing of it kind of sucks. Used to be teams would fire coaches in February after that signing day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, teams would wait until after signing day, or certainly when the new signing window became a thing, they would wait until late December maybe and move on from coaches. But now all these coaches are getting fired mid-season, and it's just, they want to get their guy on staff. But yeah, man, I don't know. This is a very unique year, even in that regard. I don't remember ever a season where so many pretty high-profile jobs came open, midway, 2/3 through the season. But yeah, Lane, I don't know. It's like everybody assumes he's leaving because of the way he's handling it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. Part of me sees it the other way, that he's like, okay, I'm going to announce after that game that I'm coming back. I mean, hell, I don't know what to expect. But to me, I'm like, dude, if you're making a good living at Ole Miss, it's not as much pressure there. I mean, okay, you're going to go from what, 10 million to 12 million a year? Okay, whatever. I don't know. You got a good thing going at Ole Miss. But then again, if you go to LSU, and I guess Florida's still in play there too, but at LSU, you're the only school in town, right, in that state. In that state of Louisiana produces a lot of talent. And if you're a decent coach, it's all going to stay in state. So you can win championships at LSU pretty easily. Lane Kiffin at LSU just seems like a weird fit to me, but we'll see what happens. Man.
You know what's crazy, Jason? And listen, you're not a commissioner, so this is just part of my rant. Why is it that the FCS has been able to figure this out, but the NCAA hasn't, right? The FCS season is over, Jason. They're starting their playoffs this upcoming weekend. Like,
they've had it figured out for decades, too.
Decades! And they're like, we need to have a committee. We need to sit down. It's like, or you can look and see what FCS is doing, because imagine if your season was over now, Jason, and you're going into the playoffs, it would make you think your life would be so much easier. And I feel like there's like, well, what do you do because the season's so long? I'm like, I don't know. Seems like there's a model out there. Okay, that's just my rant, Jason. I just had to get that off my chest.
More games, more money. Look at the NFL, though. They're doing the same thing, man.
Yeah, but FCS plays 12.
Do they? They should start a week earlier then, I guess, maybe?
I'm looking at like,
or don't give them 2 bye weeks.
I don't know if they have 2 bye weeks, though. That might be a thing. And there's probably someone who's smarter than me.
Hey, from yours and my perspective, though, please keep the 2 bye weeks, right?
Or Jason, would you like to have like most of the holidays off in December, though?
Yeah, with recruiting and transfer portal coming up, that never is going to happen for me. I mean, I'll take Christmas off that day, but that's usually about it, man. So.
Yeah, well,
then I get guys committing on Christmas Day.
I was going to say that's happened before.
Oh yeah, multiple times. Yeah, I love that. The best one ever was Jamarcus McFarland. This was before you had Orange Bloods. He committed Christmas morning out of the blue. He was a 5-star defensive tackle. Not only did he commit, there was a New York Times story that ran where he was basically trashing Texas, making up shit about Texas. I got Texas coaches calling me Christmas morning, like, hey, can you go out there and put out a story shooting this story down? It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting there my kids are opening presents. And they're like 5 years old at this point. And I'm like, sorry, kids, we got to put a pause on Christmas for an hour or two. So yes.
Yes. All right. What's the Thanksgiving plans for this week, Jason?
We always just go to my parents. They live just a few miles away. So my mom makes like 100 side dishes, and they do a turkey and a ham. So just all my kids will be home. So that's good. It's not often that I get all 4 of my kids at home at the same time. So they'll all be home for a couple of days. So looking forward to that, and just going to eat some good food and be lazy on Thursday.
What's Sukamel's go-to Thanksgiving dishes?
Of course, turkey. They do ham. My parents do both. I actually prefer ham. Just the traditional, stuffing, green bean casserole, sweet potatoes, just traditional stuff.
Okay, man. All right, dude. All right, well, go ahead and get out of here. No, we're not on the podcast today.
Yes, yeah, that's so I won't see you. I will not see you later today. So.
Yeah, so it'll be Ketch and Chad holding it down for the noon show. So I'll see you online.
Yep.
And,
all right, sounds good.
All right, man. Take care. Jason Sukamel, orangebloods.com. My dude is in here. And then, damn it, Jay Lee. All right, well, I'll answer this for you, Jay Lee. Hold on, I'm going to put this down. It's always such a weird transition. But Jay Lee, I got you on your super chat here. It said a question for the both of you, but as soon as it came in, Jay Lee, I had already let him go. But I got you. Question for both of you. What would you all do with Baxter this offseason if you were a decision maker? I'm assuming you're talking about CJ Baxter. Nothing. I think at this point, you don't tell him to go into the portal, right? You don't push him out. I just think you just got to find guys. I think that's to me, it's not about CJ Baxter, Jay Lee. It's more about going into the transfer portal and getting a couple of guys that you'd feel like you can lean on and adding more competition to that room. Like that's what it boils down to me. Having CJ's fine. Having Wisner is fine. I don't put the run game 100% on them. I think the offensive line has struggled at times this season. But then I also would like to see a little bit more of them. I'm sure they like to see a little bit more of themselves. But I just think at the end of the day, competition is what that room needs. And they just need something that's a little bit more dynamic. So, hey, if you can go out in the portal and when January comes and you got some guys in there who are elite, or you just go ahead and tamper and just back channel that thing and say, we need this guy to come out. I don't even know. What was that Arkansas running back? Like, what year in school is he? Like, I had to check that. I tamper like a mug, just be quite honest with you. But I wouldn't tell him to leave because the thing is, Jay Lee, the only thing is, we got injuries. Injuries always happens to running backs. And if injuries happen to running backs, like, you just got to be careful, all right? So you got to stack that room, but that's about it. All right, let me make sure. I think Jay Lee was the only one. You guys were on fire on Friday with Super Chat, so I do appreciate that. And, of course, as Michelle would say, you guys sponsored my date night. But, boy, sometimes we go to them steakhouses. Whatever y'all contributed, trust me, I had to add hell of a lot more. when you got waiters and stuff and the whole staff and they are just all dressed to the nines and super professional and they're bowing down to you every time you walk like you and Coming to America, you about to pay a grip. And I did, but I do appreciate the super chats. All right, at noon, Chad, Catch, they will be there. No modcasts, but we'll do that at noon. Wednesday, I'll have my programming as well. I guess with the holiday week, I maybe need to preview the Texas A&M game on Wednesday, since that's going to go on. So I'll go ahead and think about that. And we'll have a show on Thursday, and then Friday we'll figure out what we're going to do. Of course, we'll have the post game show, which I think is in here. Let me see if they put that in here. Yeah. We will have the post-game show on Friday. With 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Texas versus Texas A&M, the Arch Show. Oh yeah, by the way, I don't think. Yes, this is my power rankings for this week. I totally forgot about this, y'all. I was about to go. Looks like this might be one of those onward rambling shows, but I did do my power rankings this week. Honestly, not a huge change from last week. I don't think there's a huge debate or anything like that at this moment. I think everything has kind of sorted its way out the way we thought it would, and I think everyone's pretty good. I still have Georgia at that number one spot, just because of the competitions the competition level that they played. So even though A&M is undefeated, it is what it is. And Georgia's the top team in the conference until they're not, as far as I'm concerned. A&M, Ole Miss, I do have Oklahoma ranked there, Alabama, and Texas. Texas beats A&M this up on Friday, and of course, it takes a huge jump for me. And then there's the rest. And to be quite honest with you, once you get past Vanderbilt, it's a big bag of nothing. Who cares? It's just the only thing I go back and forth every week is who's the worst. I actually moved Arkansas up from the last spot to 15 because they actually showed me some fight, and I just think Florida continues just to unimpress me as they of course always have. Kentucky got slapped around, but when it's all said and done, who cares about those guys? And realistically, I mean, I love doing these power rankings. I guess I got one more week of it, but the real thing that matters is when the rankings come out tonight. It will be, for those who are curious, the CFP rankings. Thank God we've got ESPN back on YouTube, so we don't have to deal with that crap again. But those CFP things are coming out tonight, 6 p.m. Central Time is when the show is going to be. It looks like it's 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time, so 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Time. So it looks like we'll get that stuff pretty early. It'll just be interesting to see where Texas ranks as it relates to that. Hold on, I see another super chat that just came in. I hit the wrong button though, but you know what? Hey, okay, here we go. This is from Guy Q. Okay, somebody's burner. What's up? Good morning to you, Guy. I don't know what kind of burner you using. I don't know what this is. This is one of those things that you ever have to reset your password, and then they try to automatically do it for you, and you're like, what kind of government code is this? Like, no, I'm just gonna go back to vanilla sprinkles 24, whatever. I don't know what the hell your passwords are. That's what Guys is. That's what Guy is. It's like something generated, and I'm just messing with you, bro. It's all fun and good in the hood. Anwar, has A&M played many defenses with the talent Texas had? Absolutely not. Maybe Notre Dame. Notre Dame might be the one that you say. Maybe you say to yourself, "That's a good defense." Outside of that, no. Listen. I'm picking up what you're putting down. And what you're trying to say, what you're trying to allude to is who has A&M really played? What have they done on their schedule? And you're right. When you talk about UTSA and Utah State, it is what it is. They do get the win against Notre Dame. You give them credit for that. After that, it's Auburn, it's Mississippi State, it's Florida. Okay, well, I mean, hey, that happened. Arkansas, that was a 45-42 game. I get it. LSU's not good. Missouri's having a bad year. South Carolina, how the hell did South Carolina lose that damn game? But South Carolina, they pulled that one out 31-30. They played Samford. So to your point, yeah, this will be the biggest. This will be the biggest test for Texas A&M. Michelle said she. I'm going to talk about that in a second, Michelle. This will be the biggest test for A&M. You're 100% correct. I'm with you. We cannot say for certainty that you know what A&M is. This will be the toughest team that they've played so far. But I also have to give A&M credit where credit is due because I didn't expect them to be a decent team. I expected them to be an 8-win team. And so because I expected them to be an 8-win team, I have to give them credit for at least being undefeated. These are games that they typically lose. So I get what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But I also understand that. I think I'm going to go ahead. I don't know. I might end up picking Texas. I don't even know. And then Anwar, you laugh like Lewis from Revenge of the Nerds. Okay, first of all, how old are you? First and foremost, I can tell you a couple of things. Money B has no clue what you're talking about. Rodolfo has no clue what you're talking about. Harish might, because I think Harish is into lots of different things. So Harish might know what you're talking about. But I can tell you, all your young bucks don't know what the hell you just said as far as Revenge of the Nerds is concerned. When was that movie even released? Let's date you right now. And my laugh is my laugh. 1984. 1984. I don't even remember how Lewis laughs, but I'm going to look it up afterwards, and then I'll acknowledge it, Jay Lee. You're kind of funny. But my laugh is somewhat contagious, and it's pure, and it's authentic, and it's awesome. So, oh, damn it, man. Oh, Michelle says something about SEC Mike. You know what's interesting? Let me tell you, Michelle, let me give you the background on SEC Mike real quick. SEC Mike, this is fascinating. I know I want to tell you what I want to tell you what happened. SEC Mike, he used to come on my shows, and I used to come on him while Texas was in the Big 12. And he was actually pro-Texas, very pro-Texas. I mean, he loved Texas, and he was all about it. Then, as Texas was starting to come into the SEC, then I think he took a trip out to Norman. They invited him out. They took care of him. It was in sometime in the off season, maybe been preseason. They took care of him. That being said, once they did that, then all of a sudden he became an Oklahoma fan, and then he became an anti-Texas guy. But here's what he learned. He learned what Billy has learned. I sound like Chris Rock. Now that's actually a fair comparison. I'll be honest with you. The Chris Rock thing, she's just a friend. Like that actually would be fair. So what happened then, Michelle and everybody else? He learned what Billy learned, Billy Lucci, which is, and this is not disparaging to Billy because Billy and I are cool, but they've learned that they get more traction and more views or clicks or attention or whatever when they actually like slam on Texas than they do when they like praise Texas. And so it's kind of like when you watch it's like, you know, sometimes maybe you watch like political shows, right? Or you watch, it's like hate watching, right? Let's say you hate watch MSNBC because you don't like their views, or you hate watch Fox, right? Wherever side of the spectrum, you know, I don't really give a damn about politics. I don't convince none of those people care about us. So why should I care that much? I care about local politics more so than anything else. Anyway, sidebar. So they know that when they poke the bear, they know it's going to stir up the Longhorn fan base. And some people, as they said in the Batman movie, some people just like to watch the world burn. And that's all that is. That's all SEC Mike is. If you see him half the time, he's laughing. More than half of the time, he's laughing. I think he knows what he's doing. That's it. So, but when I see these guys, like at SEC Media Days and stuff like that, they're mad cool. Billy's mad cool. Billy's in Austin like once a month. You know, Billy knows more about Austin than most Austinites, but he won't tell you that, you know, because it's got to be Mr. College Station. But Billy's here all the time. Like sometimes some things are, you know, they're cool people. They just do stuff for show. But so anyway, and damn it, we don't have Billy on the show this week, and that's what it is. But anyway, I just want to let y'all know what all that stuff is about. Those guys are just effing with you, quite honest with you, and that's why it is. I Revenge of the Nerds, Chris Rock, whatever it is, I appreciate you watching. Whatever my Urkel-like voice sounds like, did I do that? Yeah, I did it. And I will be back tomorrow, mañana. So listen, remember I always say, live each day like it was your last, because one day it will be. So go out, take care of yourself, go do something good, something nice for yourself. Holidays are coming around this week. Make sure you take care of yourself for your mental health, especially for you those who are dealing with the loss of a loved one for the first time. Make sure you take care of yourself as well. You mean when I say that is some people dealing with holidays and this is the first time without a loved one. So make sure you do something special for yourself. Surround yourself with love. And I will be back tomorrow. All right. So y'all take care. Peace out. Chris Rock, just don't slap me. Don't slap me, because I promise you, Unc is strapped.